All right, hear me out. We actually got some really good news just now, and we can see Bitcoin jumping a little bit on this news. I think generally the markets are kind of scared because we got news that there's not going to be some economic data that we thought we were going to get. So now the question of whether the Fed is going to cut rates or not is coming even into view more, right? Like the question over whether we'll cut rates is still there, but we got some good news. We got some really good news just now, and it's kind of affecting crypto, but in general, it will affect crypto a lot over the coming months, in the coming year or two. But the market's still digesting this. Now, I want to get into that. Of course, let me roll the disclaimer. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. Do your own research. I'm never going to reach out to you either in the comment section or through any other means to try to get you to invest in something that I'm investing in or to send me crypto. Some links underneath the video are affiliate links. I may earn a commission, but this is at no extra cost to you. Of course, do your own due diligence. Now, if you want to trade crypto, check out BYDeFi. We just got done with this huge event. We're going to do more of these in the future where you can earn up to thousands of dollars of Bitcoin or USDT for free, basically. Of course, approach at your own risk, right? Make sure you understand what leverage trading is. And we have this deposit event that's going on right now. It's going on for about 10 more days. So if you want to sign up, deposit, I've been noticing more signups recently. You can try out BYDeFi. You can leverage trade right now, which is something I like to do when we've seen a big pullback. You can use low leverage and still have a lot of cushion. Now, as we can see, Bitcoin has jumped up from 88.5 to almost 91,000 right now. Now, why is this happening? Well, earlier today, there was some fear. The markets turned very negative very quickly. The odds of the U.S. not cutting rates in December surged. Part of this was due to the October jobs reports being canceled. Basically, the Fed had said previously that they didn't really want to cut rates too aggressively if they didn't have a lot of economic data. Now we're getting less economic data. And then there's also some news that the minutes came out, and basically some of the Fed members were mixed, whether they want to cut rates or keep them. So the market's a bit scared. Now, there are some, there's a lot of retail investors that I think have just said it's a bear market, or no, I'm still bullish, but we could be in a bear market. Crypto Jeb, I've never met Crypto Jeb. He seems like a really nice guy, but he said he's becoming more convinced below 94,000 that we're just in a bear market. And then he's also said that he was actually excited if we go into a bear market. Basically, that he wants to buy the ever-loving crap out of Bitcoin at 75,000. So, I mean, there are a lot of people approaching this different ways, but I'm, maybe in a similar situation as Jeb, where I think there's a decent chance we're going into a bear market, but I still am thinking there's a decent chance we go into a bull market, like 50-50 maybe, from where we are right now. But the bear markets could be very short-lived, which is why I'm not closing out all positions, why I still hold Bitcoin. I haven't sold my spot Bitcoin because I just want to buy more if we dip, and I've kind of approached this market from a hedge position. If we continue moving up, right? If we continue moving up, I would take profits off the table even more. And if we go down, then I'll just dollar cost average. I've been stacking cash for a while instead of buying Bitcoin regularly over 100,000. I haven't done that because I figured that the risk reward wasn't as good. But if you want to set up long-term positions, if you feel like you're under allocated, I've always said that it's a decent time to buy Bitcoin because it typically is if you have a multi-year viewpoint. So what is the good news that just came out, right? What is the good news? Well, NVIDIA had good earnings. NVIDIA is up actually a good amount after the market closed. If we look here, it's up 4.26% after the market closed. Why is that? Well, they crushed earnings. Right, so we were expecting $1.26 and $55 billion in revenue. They had $57 billion, and they had $1.30. Now, this is not as crazy a beat as some people would, maybe think, but it was still a good beat. And more importantly, their sales guidance was higher than expected. So people were expecting $62 billion next quarter. They're at $65 billion. So even now, right, they're talking about 65 divided by 57. They're talking about growing 14% just into next quarter. Okay, that's crazy town. That's crazy. right after this too, or like during the sales call, Jensen said right away, there's been a lot of talk about the AI bubble. Here's what we're seeing. So he's just approaching it head on. Let me actually play that for you and see what he says.
All over to Jensen for him to say a few words.
Thanks, Colette. There's been a lot of talk about an AI bubble. From our vantage point, we see something very different. As a reminder, NVIDIA is unlike any other accelerator. We excel at every phase of AI, from pre-training and post-training to inference. And with our 2-decade investment in CUDA-X acceleration libraries, we are also exceptional at science and engineering simulations, computer graphics, structured data processing, to classical machine learning.
Okay, he goes on, but I really like they just approach this head on. Now, why am I even talking about this, right? NVIDIA is the largest company in the world. Everyone is watching NVIDIA to see if this AI spend is going to pay off, if they're still seeing demand and that kind of thing. Now, they're growing quickly. They're still very bullish on the future. They're approaching the bearish stakes head on. I mean, another one, right? NVIDIA basically responds to Michael Burry. A100s from 6 years ago are still running at 100% utilization. They say CUDA prevents the 2-year obsolescence cycle. Chips lasting much longer. This is very bullish. Like Michael Burry just took out a short position recently and said that a lot of it was due to all this AI spend and that these large companies are depreciating chips over like 5 to 6 years instead of 3 years like they were a couple of years ago. So he's basically saying, yeah, you can still depreciate it over 6 years because they work for 6 years now because we've gotten much better at cooling them and, at repairing them and that kind of thing. This is all very bullish for the market. Whether you're talking about Bitcoin or traditional markets, like this is bullish. Why? Because that means that the spend is going to continue, that earnings are going to continue, that people are bullish on the future, that there's going to be more spending, that we're going to see more economic growth, that these large companies that are spending tens of billions of dollars a quarter are still seeing this as a great investment opportunity. And what does that mean? It's not just spending today. It's earnings in the future. It's efficiency in the future too. So this will prop up the value of the S&P 500, right? This will send up the value of a lot of the large tech companies higher if they can get good return on investment. And we're still seeing that. We're still seeing companies happy to spend $100 billion a year, and they're upping all the time. They want to spend with NVIDIA, even though Google just announced that they had some chips that they trained Gemini 3 on. I think that's what's called Gemini 3. The fact is, NVIDIA still is selling every single chip that they can make. So this is all good for even risk on assets like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's going to do well if the AI trade continues to do well, or it's going to do better, right? If NVIDIA came out with terrible earnings, Bitcoin would be down, right? If the whole market falls, Bitcoin's not going to do as well. Why? Because there are other trades that would be at discounts, right? If Amazon's down 40%, Google's down 50%, Nvidia's down 60%, like there are going to be less people that look at Bitcoin and think this is cheap. They're going to look at Google and say, well, I'm going to buy this. This is a 15 price to earnings ratio. I'm going to put it there because it's safer, right? But if we go back to all-time highs, if we have a lot of bullish momentum, we could see a nice bounce on something like Bitcoin, right? We've fallen down about 30% from the high, very similar to the previous ones that we've seen, the previous drops. Let me know your thoughts on all this, though, underneath the video. Of course, a lot of it does come down to the Fed, but if earnings continue, even if the Fed just slows their cuts, I still think the market does well, right? If you see record earnings quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, a lot of spend, right? I don't think the Fed just slowing down a little bit is really going to affect the broader market, but we'll see. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Again, if you do want to trade crypto, I've made the most amount of money that I've ever made with leverage trades when we've seen these big pullbacks. And you don't have to get super aggressive. You don't have to be super risky. Now, this is not a guarantee of the future, right? Bitcoin can fall down much more, to be clear. Like, if you're buying Bitcoin here, you always, or if you're buying it at 125, or if you're buying it at $48,000 a couple of years ago, you always have to realize it can fall down 50, 60, 70%. The question is, can you hold long enough, and do you actually believe in the long-term fundamental like bullishness of Bitcoin? Like, do you think it's going to get more adopted? Do you think there's some kind of benefit to buying it? Do you think that Bitcoin is going to be held by large institutions and by governments in the future? That's the big question, right? Do you think there's a world where people want sovereignty over their own wealth? Or if they want that calculation, right? Instead of politicians just inflating the dollar away, if they want something cold, hard, and calculated, something that they know exactly what the inflation rate will be 10 years from now, 20, 30, 40 years, then maybe you want a dollar cost average. So I trade with a small portion of my portfolio, and then I also have been dollar cost averaging over the last few months, very small portions, but I'm going to accelerate that if we go into a bear market. If we go back into a bull market, I would not be surprised. I'd be happy, but I would not be surprised. And yeah, of course, we could see a bit of a relief bounce too. So like, even if we go up, it's not necessarily that we're going back to new all-time highs. You have to realize that. I really want a move up over like the previous lower highs that we've seen, because that's been pretty rough right now. Like, this move does not tell me that we're going back into a bull market, this couple $1,000 move from earlier today. For Bitcoin, I'd love to see a move above like 90, first of all, 94,000, then 96,000. Then I want to see a move above the, the 50-week moving average, which is around 98,000. Then I want to see a move around over 100,000. And then it's back to like 107, right? This previous high that we had seen back just what is that, a week ago? That's crazy. $107,000. We were at $107,000 8 days ago. So I'd want to see a move above there too. Of course, let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on NVIDIA earnings as well. Of course, we could see some pain on NVIDIA too. Like maybe someone finds something to be scared about. It's very possible. But I am a dip buyer. I've been dollar cost averaging very heavy into the traditional markets over the last few months, and I'm going to continue because I want to be allocated heavier to the AI trade, to some of these top tech companies. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all soon. If you do want to check out BYDFi, it's in the link tree. You can also join me on Telegram as well in the description. Thanks.